So I thought I'd do a little bit of a video to talk about some of the equipment that I've been using on the Reefer S-850. With Red Sea's lineup now, what I've decided to do is go for the DC pumps just because of the controllability of them. So I've gone for two DC 7000 pumps. It's what Red Sea recommend for this 6 foot tank. So two dual returns basically. Because the DC pumps, they need to be run off a controller. So this is what this dual controller is going to do. It's going to basically power both of those two pumps and enable me to control them through the Red Sea Reef Beat app. I'll probably do a little bit of an unboxing video on the controller itself and the pumps when I get around to it. But yeah, those are that's the return pump side of it. So the controller and those two pumps effectively will all go together. What I've also gone for is two Reefer 45. So if I just go back to the pumps a little for a second, all of that is new. So the dual controller, the two pumps, I decided to buy those new. Wasn't worth the risk really trying to get those second hand. Hardly anyone sells them second hand because they're relatively new anyway. So you get the full Red Sea warranty on them and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's what I decided to go for. Yeah. Now with the Reefer 45s, so I've decided to go for two of those as circulation pumps inside the tank. Obviously, I'm trying to save money where I can here. I don't mind spending money. Obviously I've spent quite a lot of money so far in the tank and quite a lot of the equipment, and I've been trying to penny pinch where I can in terms of some of the other bits and pieces. Obviously, if I feel that it's worth taking a chance, then I'll try and save a few quid. So I managed to find two Reefer 45s on eBay. One was relatively cheap, about 120 quid. The other one was about 160, if I remember rightly. So on average, I'm paying about 140 per unit. One of them, as you can see here, is boxed. Comes with all the stuff, the controller and everything. The other one didn't have a box, but still, again, fully complete with the controller and everything. One of them was relatively clean when I got them from eBay. I've tested both of them. They're both fine. Both connect to the Reef Beat app. Both work fine. No issues. One of them needed a little bit of a clean up, so I got some citric acid, soaked it for citric acid for a couple of hours, then cleaned it all out. The other one looked relatively clean, but again, I stripped the whole thing down. I stripped it all the way back to everything. Citric acid, bathed it, and just cleaned it all out. So basically everything's as clean as it could possibly be. I thought I'd take a chance with those two because effectively, for what I've paid for both of those pumps, effectively I'm still cheaper than what one brand new one would have cost me. So, my thought is, well, if one of those breaks, in 6 months' time or 12 months' time or 3 months' time, I'm still quids in really. So yeah. It's highly unlikely they're both going to break, but worst case scenario, if they do, then it is what it is. I'll just have to replace them, but at least it gets me going, and it saved me a few quid. What I've also gone for as well is I've gone for the Red Sea dosing lines. I really do, I'm a bit of a sucker for Red Sea's lovely colours and garishness. So I bought a couple of the kits. I got both basically because I just didn't know what colours I wanted to run inside the tank. Obviously I don't even know what supplements I'm going to be using, but this just gives me options basically. I can do whatever I want with it and I'm good to go basically. So I've gone for those are brand new. They're about 20 odd quid a piece, so again, those are ready to go. So what I've also got as well is the skimmer, the large DC skimmer. So again, it needs one of these dual controllers to run it, unfortunately, because it's a DC skimmer. So again, I've had to buy another one of the controllers. So that's again another, I can't remember what they were, about 100 and something pound a piece for the controllers, which is a bit crazy really. But yeah, I do have a spare output now. So again, in the future, I do have the opportunity to plug something else into it, or I'm sure Red Sea will come along and create something that needs to be powered off this dual controller. So yeah, away we go. So yeah, I've gone for the largest skimmer, and also I've gone for the largest reef mat as well. again, it's all what Red Sea recommended for this particular tank. So I've not really kind of skimped on anything. I've not downsized. You know, everything's kind of at least what it needs to be or over. And there's redundancy as well. So 2 Reefer 45s. Obviously, if one of them breaks, I've still got another one going. 2 of the return pumps again. You know, they're all brand new pumps, but again, if one breaks, the other one's going to run. And then, like I said, you know, the largest skimmer and the largest reef mat. So, you know, this thing should be, you know, well circulated and well filtered, basically. And then, in terms of lights, I'll show you in a second. So, in terms of lights, you can probably see this great big pile here. So, there's actually 2 Radeon XR30 Pros there with the brackets. Everything's good to go. So I'm just waiting for the tank to arrive, and then I can put the brackets and the lights on. The brackets are on there, by the way. And then there's another one in this box here. Again, everything's all over the place, so you know, just have to apologise until I get everything sorted out. You know, just running out of room at the moment. And then we've got this Profilux controller up here. So it's a Profilux 4, and there's a doser, a 2.1 doser. Now, I bought the Profilux off a guy who he bought it. He'd never used it, so all the probes are all still exactly as they were out the box. The unit's not been used. So what I did actually, when I got it home, I did test it. I did plug it in and make sure everything was working, reset everything back. So everything connects and everything, there's no issues, but obviously I've just left the probes unused effectively. So they just need to be connected up at some point. The doser, that was second hand again. So what I did with that, again, reset that back to factory settings and connected it to the GHL app. So again, that's all good to go. And then there is another doser. So when I was looking around, I was kind of watching stuff on eBay and just messing around. But there was another doser that came up because of my watch list, and it was really cheap. So I think I paid, what did I pay for the GHL? So it came with 2 power bars. Got a feeling it was something like £450, maybe £400. I can update on the screen here. I'll put it on the screen here what I actually paid for it. So yeah, I paid that, and then I bought an extra power bar, which was an extra £120, I think it was. That was local. So now I've got 3 GHL power bars. So that'll give me a total of 18 sockets, all controlled off the Profilux. And then basically there's the 2.1 doser, which will plug into the Profilux. Again, off the top of my head, I think I paid somewhere in the region of about 180, maybe something like that for it. So again, I'll pop it on the screen here, what I actually paid for it, when I can check that for you. But like I said, because I was watching all the GHL equipment, obviously standard eBay, it recommends me stuff. So there's another GHL doser that came up, and effectively, I thought, well, I'll take a chance on buying that because I just didn't have a clue what I was going to do with the dosing side of it. In hindsight, I probably shouldn't have bought it, but I bought it now. So that was about 100, and I think I paid 110 for that, for another 2.1 doser. So I've actually got 8 dosing heads across 2 units, all capable of being controlled off the Profilux. I'm half tempted just to keep it, but on the flip side of it, I might either keep it as a spare or just sell it. So again, I'll just see how that one goes. I do quite fancy the idea of having a KH director from GHL, but I've seen loads of really good comments about it, but I've also seen a load of bad comments about it. So I just don't know which way to go on that one yet. But I do quite fancy the idea of the GHL kind of controlling the KH and the PH side of it. I do have a calc starer as well. So I've got a Deltec, so you can probably see in this box here that's buried. I wish I could do this video neatly, but everything's all over the place at the moment. But there is a Deltec KM, what is that, KM 500 calc starer. So again, the idea with that is just to give me options. Again, I was quite fortunate, really. You know, there was a guy local to me selling the calc starer. at the same time as the Radions, so I just took advantage of the calc stirrer and bought that off him. So I can't remember what I paid for the calc stirrer again, I'll put it on the screen, but the Radions were basically about 220 quid, I think, a piece for the Radions with the brackets. So if you think about what they were new, I think they were well over £600-700, something like that. And the brackets were about another £100 a piece. Again, I've got 3 of those, 3 of the Radeon XR30W Pros with 3 brackets, 3 of the mounting struts as well, as you can see there. So obviously there's about just short of £2,000 worth of lighting gear there. Back in the day, I know it's the Gen 6 now, these are the Gen 4s, but everything, because of the Gen 4s, everything's controlled by the Mobius app. So I don't see really that much of a difference between the Gen 4s and the Gen 6s or the Gen 5s. I mean, obviously the lights improved over time, but I mean, everyone was growing stuff on Gen 4s, so from my point of view, as long as the light units last and they hold up for, well, even if I get a year out of them, I'll be happy. But worst case scenario, what I've paid for these, it's just going to get me going, and then I can make some decisions down the line. If I need to swap them out for Gen 6s or whatever, Gen 7s or whatever comes out in the future, I can do. Like I say, this is just to get me up and running, really, because like I say, the tank itself was quite expensive. Obviously all the other gear, as you can probably tell, is really expensive. The Profilux as well, I want to run it off a Profilux because I ran my last tank off a Profilux. In a perfect world, I would have bought the GHL Mitras lights, but the light units are I think they're about 900 quid a unit, and I need at least 2 of those. So again, there's like £2,000 worth of lights you'd need to buy, and I just don't have it, So the plan is just to do this with the Radions. Everyone loves the Radions anyway, if you're really careful, you can get a really good deal on Radions, as long as they work and they last. People have been using these for years and growing corals, so I don't see the reason why, buying light second hand, you're really careful. I've been using eBay and Facebook Marketplace and everything else for years and years, and I'm pretty good about what I buy, and I really look into stuff and research it. So and I don't buy off anyone that I can't get on with and at least have a chance of taking it back if there's some kind of problem. So I trust these guys. They were really, really straight with me. They've showed me everything working. I've got it home and I've tested it all again, cleaned it all up. I mean, most of it was clean to begin with, but I've kind of stripped it all down and cleaned it all out even more. So everything's as good as it's ever going to get. So yeah, looking forward really to getting this up and running. Like I said, there's an awful lot of work yet to do. So if the tank comes this week, hopefully get some of the equipment or most of the equipment on it, and then we should be good to go.